In today's video, this is part 4 of using APS-C lenses on a full frame camera, and we're using it in full frame mode to test out active stabilization, to test out dynamic stabilization. How are these small lenses going to perform? And I have one of these older lenses. This is the 55 to 210 zoom. This is very small for a APS-C size lens. It's very small for 200 millimeters on full frame. And I have this right here. This is the 15 millimeter f1.4 G lens. And a 1.4 lens that is this small is kind of incredible. And of course, I have one more lens, which, where'd it go? Aha, I found it. It is the 11 millimeter f1.8, another spectacular APS-C lens. How's it going to perform on full frame? This little thing right here, it's small, but it is mighty. It is f1.8. It absorbs a lot of light. And being 11 millimeters on a full frame lens, that means that even with cropping involved, it's still extremely wide. And this might get interesting. So first off, we are going to test the 55 to 210 millimeters. Look at this lens. Wow. It is small. It is lightweight. This has to weigh under 300 grams. It is really small, lightweight, and it's gimmicky. I like the gimmick of the silver. 55, 70, 100, 135, 210. Now with active stabilization, 55, 70, 100, 135, and 210. All right, this is dynamic stabilization. If you're gonna pan right, pan left, there might be issue. There is an issue, kind of. You can see it. Okay, so that's at 55. Now we're going to 70. Yes, it's slightly there. So this is one of those lenses that you can remove the baffle. I did see that pattern. And we are at 100. I think it's clear from here. 135. It's definitely creeping in. Keep in mind, I mean, this is a tiny lens. It should produce a tiny circle, and there you go. And at 210, definitely a square style vignette. So square style vignette, maybe the surgery is possible, but yeah, it's up to you to decide if it's worth your try or not. So unfortunately, this rear baffle does cause a lot of vignette issues. I believe you can take it away if you're brave enough to do some surgery with it. You could check my previous video on how I did that in part 3. This lens probably requires the same type of baffle removal, 3 screws here and some clips in the back. It's not too hard to do, and you'll probably get a much more usable lens because this thing seems like it is covering a lot with this rear baffle. The next lens up is the 15. Oh, this is the 15 over here. Millimeter f1.4. Nice aperture wheel, declicked and undeclicked. Is it a G lens? And it's small. It's f1.4, 15 millimeters. Even with the crop, you're going to get around 17, maybe 19 millimeters on a full frame camera with active stabilization, dynamic stabilization. The vignetting is quite large. This is without any digital crops. This is with active stabilization, and it's still not quite usable. And finally, dynamic stabilization. I gotta say, it does look amazing. My arm isn't too far stretched out. This is comfortable. I could do this all day if needed, but why would I? Not my thing. Yeah, if you're looking for something to vlog and you keep your movements rather conservative. You're not a kid hyper on 5 pounds of candy, then it's gonna work out. Just don't move like that. You saw that? Yeah. No sudden movements. 15mm f1.4. This lens definitely struggles. The vignetting is very hard. It's dark and it's hard to keep at bay. You're not going to be able to keep still enough, in my opinion. So what's interesting about this lens is that it has quite a bit of a crop. It's not a zoom, it's a prime, so removing the baffle is going to make no difference. And this one's even, I'm not even sure how to remove it. There's no screws or anything, so that means that you have to remove the rear adapter, but it's not going to make a difference because I don't see any problems with it. Aside from that, well, maybe you can remove it. It is rectangular for whatever odd reason. Even it doesn't move, so it's kind of odd. But I don't think it's going to make a difference, and it performs all right. It doesn't perform great. You're going to get some vignette. Anyhow, 11mm. This is next. We're going to try it out. So I'm not the first person to test this lens in APS-C mode. There have been other channels, larger channels, much larger channels that tested this, and it shows that it has a lot of vignette. But like I've been mentioning on this channel, if it's a square type of vignette or if it's not circular, you have to take a look at it. And I'm kind of surprised these channels made that mistake. So this is the 11mm f1.8, and you can see that there is a big vignette pattern, and I will show you how to correct this. This is so brain dead easy. Take a look at this, okay? You remove the hood. You can see that most of that vignette is gone now. Remove the hood. This is 11mm on APS-C. The hood is going to cover a bit of it. It's wider than 11mm. Well, it's a full 11 meters on full frame, which is much wider than APS-C. So you have to remove that hood. Just get it out. You can't use it with the hood. Hood is not doable. Okay, so 11mm 1.8. This is standard stabilization. It's quite wide already. It's already, the circle is touching the edges, so the chances of it working is medium high. Okay, now here's active stabilization. Even active stabilization works. It might, yeah, it'll introduce vignetting with the slightest movement, but if you're on a tripod like this, yeah, you can make it work. And dynamic stabilization. Let's take this walking a little bit. All right, dynamic stabilization. Okay, you can definitely, this is wide, this is f1.8, and that is amazing, absolutely amazing. 1.8, but is it vignetting? You can see all of it while I'm looking at this smaller screen, but I think, there it goes. Yes, it does vignette tiny bits, especially if you're moving fast. If you're not moving fast and you're just floating around like a normal human being, like someone that's not overly caffeinated, yeah, it'll work out. And what's the rush in here? If you're gonna try this lens on full frame, it does seem to work out quite well. And it's small, it's lightweight, it's f1.8. It does vignette a little bit. Final thoughts: if you want a long lens, I do think that this 55 to 210 might work out for you. It does seem to work fairly well, even without the baffle removal. I shouldn't have touched that, but so if you had to choose between the 15 or 11, I think it's quite clear it's going to be the 11. It is smaller and wider.
So in the worst case scenario, you could always crop in, where the 15, it could be too tight. And assuming that I'm not talking to a bunch of robots, your movements are going to be imperfect. And that's going to cause a problem. And in that scenario, and you're not shooting off of a tripod, the 11 is going to be the one for you. And even then, it's not perfect. It might be better off just getting a full frame lens. Anyhow, that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.